Hello, fans, collectors, investors. Welcome back to Iconic Baseball. I'm Iconic Al. And the countdown rolls on today at number 32. What can be said about this player? He was a freak. When stat guru Bill James was interviewed regarding this player and his Hall of Fame candidacy, he famously responded, if you could split him into two, you'd have two Hall of Famers. Which actually kind of makes sense if you look at his numbers. You have a 3,000 hit club member, check. Far and away, the stolen base king with 1,402 steals. You also have the all-time leader in runs scored with 2,295 runs. Also, the greatest leadoff hitter of all time. Also, he got on base at a 401 clip. Also, he compiled 111 WAR. This guy was phenomenal in so many ways. He was also sort of a tall tale figure in my childhood, and everyone just was blown away by his athleticism, his speed, and his attitude, his swagger. I am, of course, talking about the legendary Rickey Henderson.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
The A's having come from behind a 1-0 deficit. Rickey goes, a pitch taken, he's going to have it. He does. Rickey Henderson, no contest, steals third base, jerks the bag from its moorings, and holds it aloft, representing number 939. Rickey pounds it with his left fist, hands it to equipment manager Frank Sinchek, who gives him a big hug. There's Rickey's mom.
Again, talking about the game being forgotten.
And Lou Brock, probably the happiest guy on the field right now. Lou Brock was a symbol of great base stealing. But today, I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you.
Rickey Henderson, not the most modest man to play Major League Baseball, but what a player. We're talking about the greatest leadoff hitter of all time. A guy who, over a 25-year career, sported a 401 on base percentage. He walked more than he struck out. He hit 279 for her career, compiled 3,055 hits. He was a WAR machine with 111.2 WAR over his career. And let's just get to the elephant in the room, the greatest base stealer in baseball history. No one is even close. He stole 1,406 bases. The next guy down the list, Lou Brock, stole 938. So Rickey Henderson is really an outlier on his own island when it comes to base stealing, and always will be. I don't see anyone ever challenging Rickey Henderson, much like I don't see anyone ever challenging Nolan Ryan for strikeouts, Cy Young for wins, or Pete Rose for hits. Those are just numbers that will not be reached in the modern game. Oh, and by the way, no one scored more runs in the history of Major League Baseball than Rickey Henderson. He's the all-time leader in runs scored with 2,295. And when you look at the object of baseball from an offensive standpoint, Rickey Henderson could beat you every way you could be beat. The object of the game is first to get on base. Rickey Henderson did that at a 401 clip, whether by the hit, 3,000 hit club member, or with walks. He walked more times than he struck out. Once he got on base, he was arguably the most dangerous man ever in the game of baseball, with his 1,406 stolen bases. And then finally, your object is to score a run. He did that better than anybody else in the history of baseball as well, with his 2,295 runs scored. Aside from that, he could beat you with the long ball. It's not talked about a ton. You don't think of Rickey Henderson as a home run hitter, but during his tenure, he hit 297 home runs. So you couldn't forget, as a pitcher, that he could also take you deep, which is just remarkable. The guy could really beat you offensively just about any way you could be beat, which really contributes to that gigantic WAR total that Henderson was able to compile over his lengthy career. In addition, he won the 1990 MVP award, a 10-time All-Star, 1981 Gold Glove Award winner, and we can't forget that in the postseason, he was really good. He played in 14 World Series games, hitting a combined .339 with a .448 on-base percentage. He scored 12 runs in those 14 games and stole 7 bases, propelling his 1989 Athletics and 1993 Toronto Blue Jays to World Series championships. So Rickey Henderson has 2 rings. All right, let's look at some of my Rickey Henderson items here. As you can see, I have 4 primary items here for Rickey Henderson. First, the signed baseball. This is a single-signed Bud Selig baseball on the sweet spot and ballpoint. Really nice example of Rickey's autograph here. This is done through Steiner, I believe. Yep, on a Selig baseball, but just a very clean sig. Rickey Henderson is an active signer. He still does signings at shows. I think he still does some private signings as well. So his autographs are available on baseballs, on cards, which is good for the hobby. That's my Rickey signed baseball. Next up, possibly the most iconic card of the decade here. I would say between this and the 89 Upper Deck Griffey, these would probably be the 2 most iconic cards of the 80s. This is the 1980 Topps Rickey Henderson rookie card. One of those epic cards in the hobby. This one is in a PSA 8. Really nice shot of Rickey crouched in the stance. Very difficult to find these centered. A lot of quality control issues with these early 80s Topps cards. Late 70s as well, but it's a really nice clean example that I love. These cards get exponentially more expensive in 9s, and 10s are just out of the question, really. But so I kind of targeted an 8 because I feel like that was the last affordable grade for me. Next up, we have one that people don't talk about a lot. This is the 81 Donruss, which I think is quite a bit more attractive than his 80 Topps. I just like the color on this card. I always kind of favor a portrait type of shot. The colors just pop on this card, and I just love it. It's a second-year card. Again, doesn't get a whole lot of love in the hobby, but I saw a 9 pop up here for like 60 or 70 bucks a few years back, and I thought, wow, I really like this card. So this is one of those ones where, yeah, it's not a rookie card, it's second year, but it's an early Rickey Henderson card. Shows him in that early A's uniform, which I love. It's a very difficult set to find well-centered and in nice, clean, crisp condition like this. And so the fact that you can get a high grade like this so cheaply was very attractive to me. So I felt like it's a card that I want to own, and I didn't have an 81 Donruss in my collection. And as sort of a type collector, someone that wants to cover as many sets as possible in my collection and cover those sets with top 100 players if possible, I thought, why not grab the Rickey Henderson in a very high grade? There are only 404 graded a 9 and only 98 graded higher. So it's actually kind of a low pop card for borderline high pop wax era. But that's one of my favorite aesthetically among Rickey Henderson's cards. Okay, and then last but not least, this is a really nice 85 Topps Rickey Henderson with a beautiful autograph on there. This is one that I actually bought unslabbed. Took a bit of a chance on it. It looked right to me, so got to end up getting a really good deal on eBay, maybe 5 years ago. Just a really nice example of this card and Rickey Henderson's autograph. And then I got it slabbed by Beckett a few years back. This is right during Rickey Henderson's prime years, where he was stealing ungodly numbers of bases and scoring ridiculous amounts of runs every year. He was a one-man wrecking crew offensively. So it's a really cool on-card prime career autograph for Rickey Henderson. One of my favorite on-card autographs in my collection. And that's what I have for Mr. Rickey Henderson, a freak of nature. Thank you so much for joining me on the countdown. As always, it's an honor to share my collection with you. And until next time, everyone, keep collecting and stay iconic.